For this study skill, we're looking at analyzing primary sources and how we use primary sources to better understand history, and in this case, specifically world history. So, what are primary sources? This is a little bit of a review because we do go over what primary sources are in the course. But just to review, primary sources are original sources or first-hand accounts that come from a specific time period. So there's a lot of different examples of what a primary source could be, but it could be a diary, a newspaper article, letters, journals, social media accounts, business advertisements, um, emails, data, anything like that from a specific time period. So in the course, we use primary sources quite frequently. We do have a lot of primary source based assignments. So it's very important to understand how to interact with a primary source and interact with a document. So there's a couple different steps that you're going to want to take and some questions that you're going to want to ask yourself. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to quote unquote meet the document. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is kind of address what type of document it is. So, is it a photograph? Is it a letter? Is it a news article? Is it a press release? What is the document? Another thing that'll help you kind of address what type of document it is are there any special markings? A lot of times, if it's an official document from, say, the office of the president, it'll have the presidential seal on it. Other, government offices have their own seals. They have specific ways of, writing their letters where they have like a letterhead. Are there any special markings on these documents to kind of give you a clue of what it is? And then when you're kind of meeting this document and going through it, are there any words that you don't know? Are you coming across any words that are confusing or you aren't able to figure out the meaning? If there are, definitely write them down and then look them up because it'll help you understand the point of the document. So after you've met the document, you're going to observe it. So who wrote this document? Who is the author? And then who was the person that received the document? Was it a specific person? Was it written to a group of people? Who are, the key players? Who's writing it and who's receiving it? And again, who's that intended audience? That goes along with who received the document. Who is it that's going to be reading this information or seeing this information? And then when is this document written? What time period is it from? So by understanding those things, and especially by placing it in the correct time period, you're going to be able to kind of understand the perspective of people that are living at that time. So the last thing you're going to do is try to understand its content. So you're going to go through the document and you're going to kind of find the main point. What is this whole document written about? What's the point that it's trying to get across? What quotes from the document can kind of support that main idea? What evidence do you have to support that this is the main idea? And then finally, why do you think that this document was written? What is the point of the whole document itself? Why was it written? What was it trying to do? So using documents as historical evidence is something that you will do a lot in this course. So we're going to kind of look at how to use them and why you're going to use them. So oftentimes in your history courses, you're going to come across short answer or essay questions that will require evidence to support your claim or your answer. Documenting evidence from primary sources or from documents that are provided for you are a great way to provide historical evidence. The way to use this is another study skill that you're going to find in this section, but you're going to use quotes from the document and the race method to support your answer. So instead of just taking a quote from the document and throwing it in your answer and not explaining it, you're going to restate what the question is asking. You're going to answer the question. You're going to cite your evidence, and then you're going to explain what that evidence means and how it supports your answer. It's so important to remember that you need to explain how the quote from the document supports your answer. Without that explanation, it's very difficult to understand what you're saying as a student, especially when you're answering a short answer or an essay question. So we're going to kind of do just a quick primary source practice. Using the information on the next slides, we'll work through identifying the type of primary source and the main idea from the source. So this is a document that you actually see in one of your assignments, and it is a press release from President Harry Truman's office announcing the atomic bombings of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945. And the statement defends the use of the atomic weapons. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold, and the end is not yet. With this bomb, we have now added a new and revolutionary increase in destruction to supplement the growing power of our armed forces. In their present form, these bombs are now in production, and even more powerful forms are in development. We are now prepared to obliterate more rapidly and completely every productive enterprise the Japanese have above ground in any city. We shall destroy their docks, their factories, and their communications. Let there be no mistake. We shall completely destroy Japan's power to make war. It was to spare the Japanese people from utter destruction that the ultimatum of July 26th was issued at Potsdam. Their leaders promptly rejected that ultimatum. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, like of which has never been seen on this earth. We have used it against those who attacked without warning at Pearl Harbor, against those who have abandoned the pretense of obeying international laws of warfare. We have used it to shorten the agony of war in order to save the lives of thousands and thousands of young Americans. So now that we've seen the document and we've read through it, we're going to kind of analyze what this document is. So we're going to look at what type of document this is, what the main idea is, what quotes from the document help support the main idea, and why the document was written. So the type of document that we just looked at is a press release, and we can see that right here. President Harry Truman's press release announcing the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and a statement defending the use of the atomic weapons. So just from this topic right here, we can see what type of document it is, and we can also kind of get an idea of what the main idea is. So the main idea was that using the atomic bomb was necessary and to save the lives of American soldiers. So we see that with this title, defending the use of atomic weapons. And we also see it kind of down here in this last little section where he really does defend the use of the atomic weapons. So if we're looking for a quote to support our answer that the main idea is about defending the use of atomic weapons, we could look at this last section where he states, "We have used it against those who attacked without warning at Pearl Harbor, against those who have abandoned the pretense of obeying international laws of warfare. We have used it to shorten the agony of war in order to save the lives of thousands and thousands of young Americans." So this quote down here itself supports the idea that this statement is about the bombing of Hiroshima and defending the use of the atomic weapons. So that would answer this question right here. And again, Why was this document written? It was written to justify the use of atomic bombs to end war with Japan when many argued that it was barbaric. So, if you have any questions over the information we just went over, please let me know. My information is in the course, and we can set up a jigsaw or talk over the phone if you need.